Here we are. Looks like I might be up here. I guess this is just a chat. That's right. We'll see what happens, what takes place. See if we have a little more censorship today. Hopefully not. I'm not in the evening time where everybody's at home. So maybe they'll leave me alone. I haven't done this type of censorship to me in a long time, anyhow. So, but if they get carried away and do it all the time, they'd only be telling on themselves. So, because then people will notice it. That's some of the reason I left up the other two. Okay, it's because I want people to see what the other form of censorship looks like. I don't think that's going to happen today. I could be wrong, of course, because, I'm just guessing, right? But I'm not here in the evening time when people might be off work at home, so maybe they'll leave me alone. Who knows, right? Only the scumbags that do this type of stuff to other people. But with that being said, yeah, I just wanted to come up and have a little chat. You know, I did a live stream with Steve last night. For those who caught it, okay. And I do notice people in there that are asleep to what's going on. I even notice people. Oh well, I can't even watch it because Bill's here. Well, if you can't watch it because I'm here, that's why they have channels. You can change the channel to a different channel. You know, everybody that don't like a program on TV normally changes the dial. They normally don't watch what they don't like, right? Right. But I really don't care what other people think because I'll tell you what, the problem we have with people in today's society, if you're a content producer online, everybody wants to act like they know you. They want to act like they know you personally, that they've walked in your shoes in your life, that they've lived your life, that they've experienced everything you've experienced. They have all their assumptions running wild. And the majority of the time, their foot is in their big mouth, okay? It's like these people think they know Steve Holkers. Think they know me. And that they walk in our everyday life and they know what we're like. And they know how we act. And they know this and they know that. They know nada. They know not a damn thing about me or Steve Hoka. They don't walk in his shoes. They don't walk in my shoes. They've never talked to us once and personally one time in their entire life. They don't know us at a personal level at all, okay? But here they are telling everybody how they know us and acting like they know us, which is psychotic behavior. That's a sign of a complete nut job, okay? That's really what that is. These are people that already have mental issues themselves, and they represent that really well when they start telling you how I think and what I do, and telling Steve what he does for a living, or they start throwing the looks. Oh, look, he's got a receding hairline. He's got this. He's got that. I mean, this is childish behavior. That's what this is. This is little children. I've said it for years now, the epic failure of mankind. The epic failure of mankind for as long as man's been on this planet is their ability to grow the hell up. No lie. That is fact. And in today's society, you people really prove that loud and clear. You scream it loud and clear. You prove me right. You really do. When I make that statement, you just make that statement factual, don't you? You sure do. But then that is what dumb do, ain't it? Yeah. The dumb down do that. What they're so-called intelligent. But anyhow, I really don't care who's here, who listens, what's what, because I'm only saying fact and I'm only saying truth. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm so hated, is because I'm so blatantly honest about what I see going on around me. And I tell you from my point of view, and a lot of people can't handle that, can they? Might hurt their little feelers. That's right. I sure might hurt their little feelers. There's nothing I can do about that. I pointed it out already, plain and clear to people the other day on the live stream what took place. I don't care whether you believe me or not. I really don't. You can make up any BS that you want. I really don't care. Because this is what people do all the time. They just post shit out there, you know what? And spit it out their mouth. And most of the time they wind up making themselves look dumber. That's all they do. But they really don't care because the majority of them are hiding their names, hiding their face. They're just, they're just cowards. They hide everything to do with themselves when they make these comments because that's what cowards do. See, the definition of a true coward is what you see online, big time. Okay? The internet, here on YouTube, we are loaded with cowards, okay? I mean, there's standing room only, I'm telling you. It's like being in a big club. There's standing room only, and not even name that. You can't even walk around without walking in between people. That's how many people are cowards here online. And that's no lie. That's fact. And that don't apply to Steve Hoka. That don't apply to myself. There's a few of us that don't apply to. I don't even apply to Jerry. See, y'all know who Jerry is. He gave you his real name. He sure did. He's even talked about where he lives, just like I do. He puts his face out there and he does live videos with himself on it. See, even though we had a little thing with the ego, because the ego does absolutely corrupt the human mind. I don't care what anybody says. That's why I wound up not working with him no more. That's also why Jerry said the stuff Jerry said because of his ego. And until that guy wakes up the rest of the way, steps back and takes a real look at himself, he's really a waste of time speaking up about any corruption at all because he's actually becoming no better than the people he fights against. If you knew what he thinks behind the scenes of people and how he's looking down on people, it all comes from that inflated ego. It's sad because I know Jerry meant well. I really do. I know he meant well, and I know he's had some real crappy shit happen to him, and I know he's handicapped. And overall, I like Jerry. I really did. But until Jerry can back up and rethink Jerry's self and start self-checking himself, there's nothing anybody can do for him, okay? And that's just the way it is. And believe me, there's a whole lot of Jerrys out here by the thousands and thousands who need to do the same thing Jerry's doing, self-check themselves, because it's something everybody has to be able to do. And I'm not discriminating because I have to do it myself. We all have to self-check ourselves, every last one of us. Because when we don't self-check ourselves and we're doing videos, if we're a content producer, you wind up spilling BS out your mouth. You wind up, if you have a high ego, you wind up looking down on everybody around you. You begin to place yourself in a place that the elites place themselves. And you don't even realize you're doing it. And if you do see yourself doing it, you get the same mindset as the elite. And you don't care because you actually convinced yourself that you're that much more intelligent than everybody around you, when in reality, you're not. Okay? So, it's sad, but this is what the ego does for us, okay? It will absolutely mess us up. We will become like the people we're fighting against. And if you're going to become like the people you're fighting against, you might just well shut down your channel and shut your mouth because you're no good. You're a hypocrite. Okay? And I don't take hypocrites seriously because they can't be trusted anyhow. No more than you can trust your government or the powers to be. You can't trust them because their ego's got control of them. They ain't got control of their own selves. They can't control themselves. Somebody that allows the ego to run them isn't in control of their own self. They ain't in control of their behavior. Their ego is. It's like an alcoholic. Okay? Who, when they're drinking, acts a different way than what they do when they're sober. The alcohol's controlling them. They're not controlling themselves. It's like a drug addict. that acts a different way when they're on their drugs than they do in reality. The drugs are controlling them, not them controlling themselves. Well, ego's the same way. It's like power and greed. It's like alcohol. It's like drugs. Okay, ego will control you if you allow it to, and if you allow it to inflate and run you, you will become corrupt. You will lie. You will do things that you would normally never do. You will treat other people the exact way you would never want to be treated yourself. And you will always make a justification up for your wrong behavior to cover up your ego, because by God, you wouldn't want to wound your ego, right? Yep. This is what we see all over the place on top of the people that are cowards. See, I pay no attention to people who aren't content producers, who don't know me on a personal level, that's never talked to me once in their life, who are making comments about me in a negative light. That don't mean nothing to me. These people don't know what they're talking about. These people don't even know me. No more than they know Steve Hoka. They don't even know him. They haven't got the first clue of what they're talking about. They based it upon a video where somebody's telling truth, and truth seems to hurt a lot of people in today's society. A lot of people get their feelers hurt with truth. And you wouldn't be getting hurt with truth if you would just be honest with yourself and practice doing unto others that you want done unto yourself. But then nobody wants accountability, so nobody wants to do that neither, because that would take self-discipline. That would take checking your own behaviors. That would take recognizing right from wrong. Yeah. That would mean self-discipline. That would mean self-work. Improving oneself. Everybody's good to tell somebody else how they need to improve themselves, but nobody wants to do it themselves. But you'll point your finger at somebody else for something they're doing while you're doing it yourself, like somehow you're above them when you're not. And I see this type of behavior all over the place. I really do. And it's sickening. It's disgusting. It really is. It just comes to show the state of mind people are in. How messed up this world really is. How messed up people's brains really are. That they think they've got to be a control freak and control somebody else. They got to tell somebody else how they got to think like them. But they don't want to be told how to think themselves while they're busy telling somebody else how to think. It's complete insanity. I guess you just don't get the definition of individuality. Not everybody's going to act the same as somebody else, feel the same as somebody else about a topic or anything like that, because it just don't happen. Yes, that's right. Like prison guards and police. They let it go to their head. They believe there's something they're not. That's right. A position. Okay? And you can just imagine a person in a position like what the electronic man just said here, prison guard or police officer who has ego. You want to talk about a parasite on society? That's what you have right there. You have somebody that's in a position with an ego. Look out. You're talking about a street gang, a thug, a criminal. You're talking about somebody doing wrong on other people on a regular basis and getting power trips on it. But they don't have the power that they think they have. They're not smarter than other people like they think they are. Not at all. All they are is useful idiots. And I'm serious. They're just useful idiots. Because they don't have enough common sense or brains to self-check themselves, to look at their own behaviors and to try to do right on others. See, I'm hated really bad by a lot of people online because I'm honest. It's the first mistake in today's society is if you're honest, you're not liked. That's where this all comes from, okay? You're not liked if you're honest. And if you hover over something evil's doing, like on the manosphere, and you call out certain people, and you say certain things about certain bills or laws being passed, then certain people get angry at you, and then they will do things like that name that this big Jim guy just wrote in here, or they will do things like what happened on my last live stream, not the one I did with Steve Hoka yesterday night, the one I done the other night. See, there's just no, and a glitch. I mean, they really got you. They pulled the wool right over your faces on that one. For all you people that really believe that's just a glitch, it just shows how you really have no common sense. You really have no critical thinking skills at all. Maybe you're jealous because it hasn't happened to you, but then the majority of these people that say this shit don't do anything anyhow. They don't have no content because they're not content producers. They just absolutely have no critical thinking skills. They absolutely have no common sense. Okay? But, the guy that came in and was selling it's a glitch on everybody, he sold it on a few people. They bought into it. Which was completely nuts. But then that's our society, man. That's how people are. They don't want to think that other people wouldn't harass other people because that was a form of harassment. That's what that was. It was a form of censorship and harassment. And the only reason that happened is because I hovered over truth and told people and pointed at people and told people to keep their eyes on the red flag laws because this is where they're going. And they didn't appreciate that. It pissed them off. Well, that is where they're going, and they know it, and I know it. They just didn't want you knowing it. Which is nuts, but okay. I'm used to it. Believe me, I've been censored for years. I've been harassed online and censored for years now. I'm quite used to it. Maybe you're mad because I am the bad penny that keeps coming back that you just seem to can't get rid of, can you? No, you don't scare me off. No, because I'm not scared of you. What are you going to do? Kill me? So what? I don't care. There's times I feel I'd be better off being on the other side. But I don't care. You don't scare me with that. You can throw death threats at me. You can throw anything at me you want, but you're not going to scare me. Okay? Because it's just not it. The fact of the matter is it's really about truth. It's about caring for other people. It's about wanting what's right for everybody, not just your selfish self. It's not about covering up corruption or double standards. When I call out females that are corrupt, I'm pointing at behaviors, which is root cause. I've showed people root cause and effect, root cause for years now. And that's one of the reasons I push that so much. And Steve Hoke understands it totally. He's a technician. He totally understands that you have to understand what's causing a problem to fix a problem. You cannot fix a problem by chasing symptoms. You have to know the cause, the root cause. Okay? Cause and effect. That's it. And it's the reality. And we have, 10, 12 years now of watching people keep talking about symptoms and symptoms and symptoms and symptoms and symptoms. Okay? And nobody wants to address where it come from, the cause. Even the MRA, even phony baloney Paul Elam, phony baloney feminist Karen Stroud, Girls' rights what? They're fakes, they're frauds, they're there for the tool, for the money. They're doing what they're told to do by their superiors, and they will never, ever, ever, ever address the root cause. They're not about to address the root cause because they've been told not to. They're not allowed to address the root cause, if you want to know the real truth. They're just simply not allowed to address the root cause. Okay, so that's really where this comes from. As you know, I've called him out on it before. I've called Paul Elam out on it years ago. I've called Karen Stroud on it. But MRA ignored me like the plague. They always have. They're supposedly, when Paul Elam was in there, they were supposed to be men's right activists speaking out for the corruption of society, the division of the genders, okay? But they never really was. They were filling your head full of symptoms and giving you fakery, pretending that they were fighting it, telling you to call your congressmen and your senators, the very people behind doing this to you, like as if they accidentally done it. This is the reason you've never seen nothing change. That's correct. Paul Elam is a shill. He's an agent. He's a plant. This is where he makes his big money from. Deceiving you. Playing the good guy while he deceives you. Showing you lots of truth, which is symptoms, but never addressing the cause. And if he was to address the cause, he would address the cause as in whatever the programming is. Problem, reaction, phony, solution. That is the solution he would be giving you. Phony solution. He would tell men, or TFLers, that you got to start reading books and have more confidence and follow PUA and he would tell you everything you've already heard hundreds of thousands of times that you've already done hundreds of thousands of times. He would never address where it actually come from. He wouldn't address social engineering, social conditioning, programming. He wouldn't address how we've created the very monsters that ourselves through the monsters who've done this to us. Because all these simps and white knights that place that female up on a pedestal only help to keep the problem alive. The women act the way they act because they've been handed programming that caused them to act the way they act. And then the white knights, the simps, the vaginas, the wannabe, I wished I was a man, okay? They're over there propping the women above themselves. They're over there worshiping women like they're goddesses, causing women to become narcissists, causing the problem you're seeing. Then you wonder why women act the way they act. Steve Hoke is a good man. I like Steve Hoke. He's a good man. I always have liked Steve Hoke. We had our fallouts, but that's for really nobody's concern. But the real truth between me and Steve, it was technically both of our faults because we were both hot-headed. I'm not gonna lie to you. I told you I'll be straight up forward and honest with you, okay? Steve had a hot temper. I had a hot temper, and neither one of us controlled ourselves very well. That's the reason we had our fallout. But it don't mean I hated Steve. I never hated Steve, ever. Okay, and I don't intend on having a fallout with him again. It ain't gonna happen. And as long as Steve realizes that, Steve's not gonna let it happen either. It ain't gonna matter what you other people are saying that don't know Steve, that don't know me. Steve's been around here since towards the very beginning. I think I had TFL online. I brought TFL up 3 to 6 months before Steve came into the picture. But Steve was there at the beginning, and he's been here ever since. He's had his breaks, but he's got his own personal life to live, and that's exactly what it is. You know, just like I've taken some breaks, I got a personal life outside of this dang computer. It isn't because I don't care about people, because I do care about people. Always have. I only want us to treat each other properly. I only want what's right. And people see the many different fallouts that's happened over the years, you know, when you talked about Robert Strickland, who hosted the TFL radio show with me for a while. Okay? Oversold One on YouTube, Robert Strickland. I really liked the guy. What happened really behind the scenes between him and I was he was telling everybody the wrong behaviors and what not to do while he was doing the very thing he was telling you not to do himself behind the scenes. And of course, that just infuriated me to see that he was actually doing the very thing that we preached against himself, which really made him a hypocrite. Tell you one thing and do another. Okay, that's where our fallout started. And with Jerry, y'all know it was because of Jerry's ego. And that all started when I did a TFL video on my own channel right here. And Jerry came over and watched it, and I was quite fair to both genders. Very fair to both genders, okay? But because I dared to speak against a woman and call her corruption, Jerry flipped out, got pissed off, ignored everything I said about the guys, and attacked me. And he did this behind the scenes. Okay? And you know, and right there, that proved one thing, that the guy was never awake to both sides like he claimed to be. When he told everybody how he sees both sides and he understands the dating scene side, how it plays into NWO, well, if he understood it so well, then why did he get so mad over a very fairly done video that was a TFL type video? Where you showed the corruption from both sides and told both sides what needs to happen, and that infuriated him, made him madder than hell. That's because he would be an angina, that would be because he's not awake to that area at all. He just lied and pretended to be. And when you lie and pretend to be something or know something you don't know, you wind up telling on yourself, and that's exactly what he done. That's when the downfall between me and Jerry started, and it's all because he wasn't awake and he has a high ego and he's running out his ego. There's nothing I can do for him, man. Jerry has to back himself up and think about it. It's no different than, I'll say her name, Anna Matilda, best known as Rhonda. See, she had the same issue. She started watching my videos and then she didn't like something I said. She flipped out and got madder than hell at me because she decided I didn't have the right to say something. Okay? No different than Jerry. It's trying to control me. They must control me. They must tell me how to think and how to act. So, of course, they're both gone because there is no such thing as that. That's BS. I'm not here to control you. I'm not going to tell you how to think or how to act. I'm going to tell you what's right and wrong. And I'm going to point out our flaws that all of us have to go through and that we have to check ourselves. I'm going to tell you that you do. All of us do, including me. I'm going to tell you to recognize right from wrong. See, I'm not going to discriminate. And I'm going to tell you to try to practice doing on others that you want done on yourself. Okay? I'm not discriminating because everything I'm telling you also applies to me. See, I don't expect you to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. I never have. I'm not going to be that way. I'm not going to think I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, I'm above you. No, I'm not. I just happen to be the age I am and happen to have lived life for a lot of years now and happen to have common sense, which isn't even common anymore. Happen to observe what's really going on around me and happen to be very honest and happen to have a lot of care. A whole lot of care I've had my whole life for other people. I have nothing against helping a perfect stranger. Somebody I've never met in my life, man, I'd go out of my way and fix something for them that was broke. Even if it took me 2 hours to fix it, I wouldn't care. 3 or 4 hours, I wouldn't care. And guess what? I wouldn't charge them a penny because I've done it a whole bunch of times in my life. Then people come along and tell me, well, that makes me weak. No, that doesn't make me weak. The person who's saying that makes me weak is actually the one that's weak. You got to have self-gain to help somebody. It's like these people that are speaking, want to speak truth and want to charge you for telling you truth. They want to charge you money, the tool, to tell you truth. They're fraudulent. They're fakes. Anybody like that, as far as I'm concerned, up yours, you know? The only difference, the only time I'll give consideration to that is if there's somebody like in Mark Passio's shoes who's actually traveling around the country to try to reach as many people as he can, and he's traveling all over the place, then okay, in that situation, I give high respect that I say, okay, then if they're asking for donations to help them support their journeys across this country to try to wake people up, then I'm all in for that. As long as they're being honest and showing that they actually really care about everybody and they're fighting the whole war, the whole battle. They're not playing selective. Because when you're playing selective, you're doing no good for nobody. You know, Jerry went out of his way and did a protest over at that place that we're not allowed to talk to up here on YouTube. And I gave Jerry high credit for doing that because he did. He went out of his way. He used his money. He got a little bit of money sent to him, not very much, but pretty much it was out of his pocket. And he drove up there and he did a protest, okay? I give him high credit for that, okay? In his situation, if he was to continue to try to go other places across the country, I would support him and I would say, yes, donate to him. I really would. You know, that's why I say that about Mark Passio. The only problem I see with Jerry is the fact he's allowed his ego to get in the way. And he's not awake to the manosphere. He's not awake to the NWO programming on the genders. He just pretended he was and lied to me. And it don't matter if he says he is, he isn't, because he would have never attacked me otherwise, behind the scenes. He even slammed Kevin down for having a good statement about that video, how fair that video was to both genders. How there was no bias to neither gender, because I don't hate women. I hate corruption. I understand why the majority of the women are acting the way they're acting. And we have social engineering and the vaginas to thank for it, because you don't hold them accountable. You have to hold them accountable like you do a man. You don't play favoritism based on gender. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Treat somebody the way you want to be treated yourself, not the way you don't want to be treated. You're not above somebody else. No, nobody is. Not no woman, no man is above another human being. And these phony baloney politicians and these thug-wearing mafia thug boys that wear badges and uniforms and run around in them cars with bubble gums on them, they're not above nobody neither. They're just perfect little order followers is all they are. Just like the other night when that happened with my show, that was order followers. That was simps, weaklings, who have no common sense and no critical thinking skills and can't compare history to now to see that their behaviors is no better than the Nazis. No better than what happened in Russia. That they're on the same dang track. They're doing it all over again. And they wanted to criticize the Nazis for following the orders while they're over here doing the same damn thing themselves. See, it's the hypocrisy that bothers me the most, because you want to call somebody else out while you want to do it yourself, huh? You want to be a complete hypocrite and think there's nothing wrong with that, huh? Because you're not willing to self-check yourself, huh? Then you don't belong being a content producer. You need to tip your mouth. That's the way I feel about that. And if they get mad at me for saying that, I really don't care, because that's the honest to God's truth. How can you help anybody if you're not willing to be honest with yourself? Because if you're not going to be honest with yourself, then you're sure not going to be honest with anybody else. So yeah, but see, this is a hard war. People come and go. You got content producers that come up that you perceive when you first meet them is doing a good job and blah blah blah, and then pretty soon you realize they're not as awake because they're telling other people, or they're doing things that they're practicing doing what they're telling you not to do, being hypocrites. Okay, I mean you see it all the time where they're here for the wrong reason. They're here because they monetize their channel and they want money, and they want to charge you money for truth. In a war that's going to take all of our freedoms and our lives away from us, we should all be willing to fight for free. I mean, how do you fight a war? I mean, that's like, okay, I'm not going to defend myself with the enemy that just came through my window with the intentions of beating the shit out of me. Why? Because they're not paying me any money to defend myself. So I'll stand there and let them beat my ass. I mean, that's, excuse my language, but that's really the mentality of you people that are asking for money that ain't going out. I mean, the difference is like with Mark Passio, he is literally going from city to city or state to state. And he's not rich. He's not like a Jason Goodman shill who's a multi-billionaire who doesn't have to work. He has more money than you ever see in your entire life and still needs your money for donations. You talk about scum. That's the difference. You know, when you're real and you're somebody like in my shoes or Steve Hoka's shoes, you can't see Steve go from town to town, city to city, state to state, doing seminars on the manosphere. And if Steve was willing to do it, guess what? It would take money. Yes, it would. Because you would have to rent the spot you're going to use. You would have to pay for advertisement to get people to come. You would have to freaking pay for the gas and the hotel stay and the food. And so there's just no way that can happen. Unless you're somebody that's got a lot of dang money, it couldn't happen. So the best we could do, like Steve or myself, is the only thing we can do is get online. Because we haven't got the money to go from state to state and rent a room in a Holiday Inn or wherever that people can come and get the advertising out there so people show up. Okay? We haven't got the money for that. That'd be a full-time job within itself. And you really would, and you'd have to have a crew of people working with you to accomplish something like that. And that's going to take a lot of money. But people don't take that into consideration, like when they're sitting there watching Jason Goodman. They're thinking this guy's being so honest, but they never paid attention to the guy's hardly ever home. He's traveling all over the United States. How is he getting the money to never be home, never work, and travel all over the United States and keep doing what he's doing? He's going to tell you from his donations, BS. Gigantic BS alert. That's because the guy's a multi-billionaire. The guy's the one that invented the damn camera that could put shit in a film or a video that they're filming that was never there. Like on that notorious date of 9/11. Without saying any more. Okay? I'm not going to say any more because there's no point. You all know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to actually physically going out and waking people up, trying to anyhow, or at least putting the truth in their face, it's not easy to do. And then you get attacked all the time by people who don't want the truth out there. People that are collecting money to keep that truth covered up. You get attacked by people that are offended because you're talking about something that they live that they don't want to talk about. They want to cover it up. They want to put on a phony, baloney act and pretend they're getting all these women they're not getting at all because they're scared shitless of a name? Believe me, there's people out here that are so scared of the name TFL that are living TFL, they'll never admit to being a TFLer because they're so ashamed of, because they're afraid of somebody might call them a name. They might be ostracized even when they're being pushed out. You might make fun of them. They're cowards. That's all that is. That's coming to right down to it. They're cowards. And there's nothing I can do for people like that. You can't help a coward. They have to first be willing to help themselves. I don't expect, okay, some people, they don't want to put their name and face out there for fear they might lose their job. Okay, that's a good argument that you give right there, and I guess I can respectfully understand that if you don't want to lose your job. But unfortunately, you also ought to understand that the tool that you're working for, the money you're working for, is also the reason you're staying enslaved. It really is. That's like working to stay enslaved. To stay a slave to another human being who puts their pants on the same way you do, bleeds the same way you do, goes to bed the same way you do. That's not no God. They're not above you. They're no different than you. Why should you have to suffer and be broke all the time and live a terrible life so that you can work your butt off to support somebody so that they don't have to work and they can walk all over the top of you and you're going to give them all their wants so they can have their caviar and steak dinners and travel all over the world? Meanwhile, you couldn't afford to do any of the stuff they're doing, but you're the one helping them do it? Because that's really what we got going on. Doesn't matter what people say, that's what's really going on. You're helping to keep yourselves enslaved, is what you're doing, and you don't even know you are. It's sad, but the reality is just what it is. And if you're hooked up on it, I understand we have to have money to live because the system has been set up that way. But who said we can't change what the currency is that we accept? Don't you realize that gold has no value? Silver has no value. Diamonds and rubies, they don't have no value. The only reason they have value on them is because we, the people, mankind, has placed a personal value on it. A stick off the ground could have value if we all placed that value on it. It's the only reason it has any value. And if you're going to use currency money as a system for people to live on, that's fine. But you can't allow an individual family or an individual people to own that system. That system has to be controlled by the masses of people. Period. And can never individually be owned by any one family, ever. That was our first mistake. We allowed individual family to take control and own your monetary system. Then you wonder why you're slaves to that dollar. Has anybody ever looked into the monetary system, where it comes from, and studied it at all? That's the first place I started when I started waking up to what was going on in society. Outside of the dating scene, when I started studying NWO, the first thing I studied was the monetary system. And when I studied it, I realized how criminal it was from the very beginning. The entire monetary system has always been criminal from the very, very beginning. And that is the first thing I studied. Before anything else, as I picked to find out where our monetary system came from, how we got where we got, what they're doing, and It's gotten so bad, so evil. These idiots, even if we put value on gold and we said the gold was backing up our dollar bill, your dollar bill hasn't been backed up since Tricky Nicky, since Nixon was in office, by any gold. These people are literally just pulling numbers out their anal. And they're sitting there living the high life and keeping you down. And we're all sitting there just letting it happen. So, and this is really the reality of it. So, even in the manosphere, what did you find out with women? What did gender roles do for us? And they still want to push gender roles into society. Of course they do. Because gender roles says that you as the man, you are the provider. You're not just the protector, you're the provider. Well, provider spells you're the ATM machine. Provider spells you owe her all of her wants because you were born with a penis. And then we got these stupid simps and vaginas that just go right along with that, and they're breaking their butt to try to give her all of her wants. Creating the narcissist psychopath with entitlement issues that you created. Then you wonder why she acts that way. Why wouldn't she? She believes you really owe it to her. How would she think that you don't owe it to her? All she's ever been taught is you do. So, and it's a reality. Yeah, and as far as the game, okay, for the Illuminati controlling us, that's going to happen until we can get our heads out of our you-know-what and start standing together. They only have control over us because we allow them to have control. But when you got a world full of cowards, okay, that are afraid to stand up to them, then you have a world full of pussy baggers, as Jim Big would say, okay? I mean, what did we expect our outcome to be? Come on. You can't sit there and take social engineering and gender roles and put that together and push that into society and have everybody believe in this shit hook, line, and sinker. You wonder why you got so many double standards? Because we've allowed it. See, recognizing right from wrong means you have to really be able to examine it, and it just doesn't play into a gender. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and it doesn't matter what gender you are. Whether you're a man or a woman doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with it. Because she's a female, she should not be excused from wrongdoings onto another person. But when you talk to the simps and the pussies and the vaginas, they all think that, well, you got to cover up for her, you got to excuse her behavior, and you want to come up and give all this babble talk about, well, it's her nature. No, it's not her nature. There's no such thing as her nature. It's all been socially engineered. She grew up in a world that spoiled her rotten. What'd you think you were going to do when you spoiled it rotten? You got your damn rotten results, didn't you? You wonder why this crap's going on. When I try to be fair to men and women, one of my very first videos up when I did my True Force Loneliness videos back in the day when I first come up online, one of my very first videos, it wasn't the first, but one of them was a video I named Men and Women's Rights. And I did a video on men and women's rights. And as far as legal rights and laws goes, and the way we treat one another, I was straight across the board. That men and women need to be equal as far as rights and laws go. And how we treat one another. Boy, did I get slammed. I got slammed hard. And the first people to slam me, believe it or not, back in that day, was a female. I was immediately a woman hater and a misogynist. How dare me say something like that? All because I say that men and women need to be equal. When I say equal, I'm talking about laws and rights and how we treat one another, and that we should respect one another and recognize right from wrong and do unto one another that we want done unto ourselves. And that has nothing to do with gender. And anybody, regardless of the gender, should be called out for their wrong behaviors. If they're treating somebody like dirt because they can, then they should be treated like dirt because we can. You don't like what you dish, don't dish it. It's our old saying about medication. If you don't like the medicine you're pushing, don't push it. Okay, but most people can't handle what they do unto others. They want to do it unto somebody else, but don't want it done back onto them. That is the first clue that you're not thinking with a critical thinking skill. You haven't got the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and you're not practicing what you should be doing. You're wrong all the way. The only way to ever correct that is to, first off, you got to be honest with yourself. Then you have to recognize right from wrong. And then you have to practice doing unto others that you want done unto yourself, and be willing to place yourself in somebody else's shoes. That if I say this to somebody, if they said it to me, how will I feel? And if you don't like it, you don't say it. Self-discipline, which nobody wants to do. I don't even know that that man has a wife. That could all be a lie. We can't back up or confirm anything that guy says. The only thing I could pretty much tell you is the guy most likely is working for in the military and working with the military. He is most likely a plant up here on YouTube, an agent, a shield, military, industrial, media complex, whichever. That's who that guy most likely is. You're never going to get him to tell you the truth because he's already proven that he's willing to lie. Okay, so, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing to be trusted that comes out of his mouth. And I'm dead serious when I say I don't watch anything he's posting. And every time he gets unsubbed from my channel, he's right there to resub to it. Now, why would that be? I got that guy 3 times in the last 3 months subbing to my channel. I screen captured the last time it happened. I could see his name pop up in the corner of my computer. And what the hell? Because I've unsubbed from him myself. So what's his name doing popping up on my computer? So I click on it and I land on his channel where it shows clearly he had just subbed to me. I didn't know he was unsubbed from me. I unsubbed from him. Okay? So now I'm staring at his channel and I see my name. Did I click on the video because it had my name on it? Nope. I exited his channel. I don't care to hear anything that guy says. And there's the phony troll for you pretending they're Tom Likeless. Yep, that would be a troll, right? That's not no Tom Likeless. So, but I did a little thing with Steve Hoka last night. And I appreciate that. But I appreciate Steve. I do like Steve, and Steve's honest. That's the thing that counts to me, is Steve is honest. He's real and he's honest. At least he's real about himself and he's not fraudulent. And he's honest. And that's why I respect Steve, and that's where Steve and I, and I'm the same way. And I have to say, it's just always been that way. I'm very honest. I know there's people who hate me. I've had my haters from the very beginning. Like, don't make me run away. I don't care. Okay, I just don't care. I'm not going to run away. I'm here because I care. And I stay honest and I don't play being a hypocrite, and I'm not going to tell anybody else ever to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. Okay, and that's just the way it is. And that's the reason some of the fallouts happened over the years that people seen. Like with Robert Strickland. When he was busted doing the opposite of what he's telling other people to do, it infuriated, fired me up, and I called him out on it. When I called him out on it, he got mad and the fight was on. Well, I can't say anything about that other than Jerry's not awake, all the way awake to NWO. He wants you to think how awake he is, but if he was so awake, then he would clearly see the social engineering of the genders, and he would have never attacked me behind the scenes for a video that I done that was very fairly done, and it called out both genders for their wrongs, but I called out a woman for her wrongs. And when I called out a woman for her wrongs, he attacked me behind the scenes. He literally did. He told me I had mental issues and that I was a woman hater. He even challenged me to do a 10-minute video worshiping women. Okay? And right there, I mean, that tells me right away that the guy's not awake to the other half. So he's the half awake. Okay? That's the reason I did the video called The Half Awakes. Because that would be Jerry. So this person right here is correct. He's the half awake. And he's also an enabler for the problem over in the manosphere. He enables the problem New World Order is created through social engineering. If he's not an enabler, he wouldn't have told me how beautiful women are and I should do a video worshiping women. Even a 10-minute video just praising and worshiping women. No, I wouldn't do that for a man neither, if I was a woman. Nobody needs it praised and put on a damn pedestal. Where do you think the narcissist behavior came from? So he was an enabler of the programming the NWO gave us for social engineering. So he's fighting half a war. He's picking his topics. That's why I can hold more respect for Mark Passio, because Mark Passio has touched the manosphere. He talks about the war between men and women and how it was socially engineered. And he's correct. But Jerry won't touch that. Okay? Overall, Jerry's a good man. I like Jerry. I didn't dislike Jerry. I just got where I couldn't work with him no more. Now I disapprove of him coming up and making that live stream saying how I was abusing him because he flipped the script, his ego. He couldn't wound his ego. He didn't want you to know that he was the one that attacked me because I made a TFL topic video on my channel. He didn't tell you that part. He left that part completely out. And somehow I was the abuser. Well, he had to protect his ego, didn't he? And Jerry's always going to be a half awake until he gets his head out of his you know what. So, there's nothing I can do about that. Well, that's what corrupted Jerry was his ego. And then she said, Mark Passio tell him straight out, lose that ego. He understands the thing, same thing I do. That ego will absolutely corrupt him. And it has. The guy was looking down on me. I watched him looking down on the majority of truthers. Behind the scenes, he was talking so highly of himself and he was looking down on them. That he was so much more intelligent than them. And that's the way he acted. And where did that come from? His ego. He started looking down on everybody, including me. Then he tried to control me and tell me what I was allowed to say and the proper way to talk to people in a video. And I was like, wow, his ego's done gone overboard, man. It's inflated big time. And that's why, there's nothing I can do about that. That's just the way it is. The separation had to happen because I can't work with that kind of BS. And I'm not going to work with a half awake anyhow. You're not going to fight this war of evil versus good and fight half the war and leave thousands and thousands and thousands of men all over the world in the dilemma they are from the social engineering and keep playing an enabler of the problem and pampering women. And I'm not a woman hater, but you cannot do that. Women have to be held accountable just like men are. And you don't slap them in the hand and give them a quarter of the sentence you'd give a man when they break the law. But this is what we watch happen all the time, ain't it? We created the problem from our own behaviors. If you want what's done right in this world, then we have to treat each other equally. There is no such thing as above one another based on gender, based on money, based on position in life. I don't care if you're a congressman. I don't care if you're a senator. I don't care if you're a technician. I don't care who you are. You're not above another human being. None of us are above each other. Doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with position or gender or race, for all that goes. We're all human beings, and until people start recognizing that, how are you going to help a bunch of bumbling idiots? Because that's really what it comes down to. Hard to do, isn't it? Yeah. So there's not a lot I can do about that. But I wanted to come up here and give a chat today just to say, hey, and as far as the comments over on Steve's channel under our last live stream last night, I blow half them off. These people don't know me no more than they know Steve. They just hate truth. Truth wounds them. Been wounded by truth. And it's sad. It really is. I told you I'm a person that is filled with high care, and I actually care about what's right and wrong. And the things that infuriate me is the wrongs. Okay? I'm not a woman hater. I hate the corruption. I don't hate men. I hate corruption. If I hated men, I sure the hell wouldn't be speaking out for men all these years. Okay, and I understand those men are divided more than the women are. And that's once again thanks to pussy baggers and enablers of the problem. And they have to grow a pair of nuts and become a real man again, but they're not real men. No. They might as well buy a dress and put on some makeup and call themselves a different name because they're not real men. Because a real man stands up for what's right for all and doesn't play into gender. A real man will call a real woman out for her wrongs just as quickly as he'll call another man out for his wrongs. A pussy, that's right, somebody who's a weakling, a simp, they won't call a woman out for her wrongs. They won't. Or they'll be up there worshiping the female gender, placing that person because of their gender above their own selves, causing the corruption that we're seeing. Now, if you want to go to the mall and put on some women's clothes, you go right ahead and do that, okay, Dan? You got a great idea. You need to try it out yourself first, though. That's how that works. You have to be the first one to try it out. It was your idea. So therefore, Dan, you know, Yeah, if you're not a fan of your own idea, then don't practice pushing it onto somebody else. Bye bye. See, that's right. You see that? Bill, are you gay? Do you wear makeup after the live streams? Do you see that? And then we do this. And then we say, oh no, he's gone. You see how that works? Yep. He's gone. He's history. He's out of here. He was having fun being a troll. Yep. And I had fun removing him. It was awesome. And don't worry, if you come back under a new name, I'll just take you out just the same. It don't matter to me. You don't affect me at all. You affect yourself. You showed yourself off, though. Now you see what an idiot looks like? See? Well, these are enablers of the problems in our society. But you know, that guy's a coward. If you're guaranteed, if you went to his channel, he probably ain't got one video. He's not using his real name at all. No, he's just a coward. He's tough when he's behind a keyboard, you know. That's when he's at his toughest point of his life, is when he's hiding behind a keyboard. Nobody knows who he is. Yep, big ass coward is what he is. But I think with that being said, I'm getting on out of here. I think I've chatted enough. And you all have a good one. And that's where we'll go from there. But until the next one, you have a good one.